This is very problematic, very worrying, because it's just happening. America is actively under invasion from its own president. I'm not going to mince words here. I'm not going to dawdle around or beat around the bush here. Donald Trump has ordered Greg Abbott, one of his biggest ring kissers, one of his biggest glazers, to send his National Guard, the National Guard of the state of Texas, onto the streets of Chicago and I believe also Portland. Let's call this what it is. Donald Trump has ordered Texas to attack Oregon and Illinois. That is what has happened here. The president is ordering one state to attack multiple other states. And if you think I'm joking here, I've got news for you. Let's start by reading this post from Proud Navy Veteran. Trump's use of the Insurrection Act of 1807 is coming. Normal is gone. The threat to our democracy is real and it demands action. Stop procrastinating and act. Prepare now while you can. Combine households, reduce living expenses, and stockpile on basic necessities. And we actually have a clip here from a supposed veteran explaining what he thinks is coming. And I gotta say, according to the right, he might have a point.
Watching the footage that has come out of Chicago.
Hold on, I should stop the music really fast, because this audio is not very loud.
The last few days, and reading the horrible stories.
I gotta have a way to boost this. Hold on. Oh, it's so quiet. We gotta boost it. We gotta boost.
It's very clear to me that none of us have to wonder anymore what we would do if America fell into totalitarianism. If we ceased to be a democracy and became an authoritarian country. That moment is not coming. That moment is here.
That is the big takeaway here. It's happening. It's not a, oh guys, oh it's coming, Trump's getting more out of pocket every day. It's happening. He is, like, I am not one to fearmonger about imminent civil war or whatever. I'm not gonna lie, this is the closest to actual civil war America's been since the Civil War. It's getting kind of scary. I might have to eat my words about the whole, like, there won't ever be another American Civil War. I might have to eat my words about that. I've never been more scared about having to eat my words about that than now.
It's happening. It has happened. And it's a moral test for each and every one of us. It's a test of our character, not just as a nation, but as individuals. We are all responsible for this in our way. What are we going to do? What am I going to do? I don't know. I don't know the answer. Part of me just wants to put my head down, keep writing songs, keep doing my work. But I don't really think that's an option. I don't want to look back at this moment in history and say I did nothing but complain. Those of you who have families, I understand you want to protect your loved ones. You don't want to stick your neck out. But this is a moment for sacrifice. And if we are not willing to sacrifice, then the bad guys will win. That much I know for sure.
Damn. Well, that's a pretty strong statement to say the least. That was powerful, if I do say so myself. Lordy, lordy. Well, with that said, let's continue. Let's continue, shall we? Now, you might think, okay, that was just a progressive, right? Like, a progressive might be a little more prone to fear-mongering about this, but surely Trump and the Republicans aren't actively calling for the Insurrection Act to be invoked, right? Clearly that's not the writing on the wall, right? Guys, his supporters are calling for it from the rooftops. It's bad. Like, it's really bad. Here we've got a right-wing account. Not a huge one compared to some of the other examples I'll be showing, but it gives you an idea of what they're calling for. Who is going to tell the activist judges what the law actually says? Show them the Insurrection Act of 1807, which allows the President of the United States to deploy the military and federalize National Guard units to address civil disorder, insurrection, or armed rebellion against the federal government. This act serves as a statutory exception to the posse Comitatus Act, probably Posse Comitatus Act, which generally prohibits the use of federal military forces in domestic law enforcement. So they're already calling for Trump to invoke the 25th, or not the 25th, the Insurrection Act. He wants to, I'm telling you guys, Trump needs to be ousted from power. We need to impeach him. We really do. Like, at this point, if Republicans are unwilling to back that idea, as in Congress, we've seen Republicans jump on board with the releasing of the files, like, there's got to be a point where the pressure starts to build up. I could see it happening. I could absolutely see it happening. Yeah, maybe 25th Amendment him. Make J.D. Vance the president. I'm pretty sure we could bully him out of office. That aside, though, it's not just accounts getting like 1,000 likes saying this stuff, though. You've also got the biggest political streamer on Twitch saying as much. Here's Asmongold's recommendations as to what Trump should do about Chicago resisting his deployments of the National Guard into the city.
Does the president deal with a major like that? Well, there's a lot of things that Trump can do. Like, what I would want to see Trump do is to just categorically withhold all funding from Chicago.
I'm sorry, Chicago and other big blue cities make the money.
If Chicago doesn't want to uphold the federal law and they want to actively obstruct the federal law, I would immediately withdraw all funding, and then I would give them probably a 48-hour window until I invoke the Insurrection Act. And then after that, I would invoke that act, and then I would arrest all of the people in the government and then try them for an insurrection. Does the president deal with a major like that?
Mind you, this man argues that that Jan 6th was not an insurrection. These are the people that have their mouths directly to the ears of the youth. These are the people influencing potentially hundreds of thousands of votes every election. Breaking news. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson just announced he signed an executive order creating ICE-free zones to ban ICE agents from staging for raids on illegal aliens and Antifa terrorists. Insurrection Act of 1807. Now, more National Guard. So they are really calling... They're really calling for a full invasion. Like, the right is not being ambiguous about what they want here.
Today, we are signing an executive order aimed at reining in this out-of-control administration. The order establishes ICE-free zones. That means that city property and unwilling private businesses will no longer serve as staging grounds for these raids. And today, we are signing...
And this is what they're calling insurrection, by the way. Elected officials who were put in power by the people of their constituents, by the people that voted for them in their community, who are doing the policy things that their voters wanted, put them in office for, and apparently that is insurrection. It is insurrection to not bow down to whatever the president wants, even though your voters put you in power to enforce a certain standard of laws and policy that they should live under. I remember the time when Chicago was whining about more immigrants getting dropped off by Texas. Now all of a sudden they want to keep the people they didn't want at the time. I remember a time when Chicago was whining about more immigrants getting dropped off by Texas. It's really weird that you phrase it that way. Was it that Chicago was whining that immigrants were dropped off in their state through migrant busing, as you said? Or was it that they were criticizing Texas for the practice of migrant busing at all? Because I can tell you, as a progressive, my issue with that whole practice isn't state B ends up with the immigrants. The problem with it is that these states are like, we're gonna take you over to the progressive states, see if they want to deal with you then. And then if these people face any level of homelessness or something, then all these same conservative politicians say, look at these blue states and blue cities homeless problems. Look how out of control the problems are with homelessness and crime. And meanwhile, it's like they're shipping people in, literally, to these cities with the express purpose of leaving them there with nothing and no opportunities. Just like, fuck you, you're stranded. Figure it out. Like, they've actively manufactured as much of the narrative that they can about these blue cities. And now we're seeing Trump do the same thing. He's calling in ICE and National Guard into Chicago in order to create violence. He wants to make Portland and Chicago into the war-torn hellscapes that he's describing them as in order to further justify turning the dial up on the violence, on the crackdown of civil rights. Trump just said he will invoke the Insurrection Act if governors/mayors refuse to enforce the law. Well, here is Illinois governor flanked by Chicago mayor claiming they are going to drive ICE thugs out of Chicago. This is an actual insurrection. Sorry, nope. But it's just states' rights. States' rights.
They think they can fool us all into thinking that to get out of this crisis that they created is to give them free rein. Well, that plan will only work if we let it. The state of Illinois is going to use every lever at our disposal to resist this power grab and get Noam's thugs the hell out of Chicago. They think they can...
Based. Yeah, the Trump administration and his supporters have been a lot more open lately about how they want to use legal action against elected representatives that they don't like. And, yeah, that's very much where things are going. We're very much heading towards unilateral legal action taken by the president against those that criticize him. Here's a clip of him saying as much, that he plans to invoke the Insurrection Act soon.
Portland is burning to the ground. You have agitators, insurrection.
Isn't it crazy how many times Portland has supposedly burned to the ground in the last 5 years? It's like they must have, like, the people who rebuild Metropolis rebuilding that city. Because the rate at which that city's getting burned into ashes and then rebuilt just to be burned back down again in the last 5 years, according to Trump and the Republicans, is wild. Because I thought it burned down during the BLM protests after George Floyd was killed. And then I thought it burned down after the Kyle Rittenhouse thing. And then I thought it burned, like, I thought Portland has burned down, like, upwards of 8 times, according to the right.
All you have to do is look at the television, turn on your television, read your newspapers. It's burning to the ground. The governor, the mayor, the politicians are petrified for their lives.
Mr. President,
And you have a judge like that, that judge ought to be ashamed of him.
Governor, you say you're...
Portland is burning.
And of course, a judge that Trump doesn't like was targeted, most likely, with a house burning. We don't know for a fact that it was arson, but the circumstances are definitely convenient, to say the least. And we'll just have to wait and see if any information comes out that either clears up any confusion from confirming it wasn't some kind of arson or proving that it was. You weren't exaggerating, Zan, when you said most MAGA have never been to a real city? Oh, of course I wasn't exaggerating. Like, this is just a very real, like, view of how America works. Like, most conservative Americans live quite rurally, and if you live rurally in America, it's not like living in the rural UK, right? Like, in the rural UK, you might live in, like, somewhere right in the middle part, right? And it's like a 4 or 5 hour drive to get to, like, a big city, like London maybe, or Bristol. But that's not that crazy. Like, anybody is bound to go that 5 hour drive in their life and see those cities. I feel like it's a lot harder to sell people in, like, rural England or something on the idea that London is burning down. Because there's a good chance they might have been to London recently and seen it's quite all right. You know, they're probably seeing footage of it all the time. That's not, like, framed or whatever. It's harder to pull that kind of shit in other countries. But America, if you live in rural Kansas, rural Texas, rural Nebraska, rural Illinois, like, I mean, go down the list, rural Colorado even, you live so potentially far from, like, a big city. Like, you live so far, and it's so out of the way and such a pain in the ass to get to a big city that you probably will never need to go there. Most small towns have more or less everything you could need to live a fairly decent life and never leave. Like, you could get most of everything you need and survive and live and never actually leave your hometown in a lot of rural America. It's not always the case, but you can get by. Except everything except good wages. Well, that's the thing, though. These small rural towns tend to have really low cost of living to match said wages. And, of course, these communities also receive the largest proportional amount of government benefits of any community in the United States. So these are highly isolated, like, isolated people, right? And they only really know the world as it is told to them through the filters they receive information. And in the case of a lot of rural conservatives, they're listening to, at one point, it was Rush Limbaugh on the radio more than anybody else, talk about how the crazy left. I'm more so doing, God, Rush Limbaugh kind of sounded like a dude who was about to ask you, you know, I can get you a good deal if you take your pants off. But he didn't have that accent. Like, he sounded like a creep. He sounded like he was going to ask you to, like, get on your knees for some kind of, like, deal in the world of radio or something. He was just that kind of creepy dude. But a lot of people listen to Rush Limbaugh, and they heard his breakdown of things. A lot of people listen to people like Alex Jones or Tucker Carlson, and they hear his breakdown of what it's like in these big cities. And so, yeah, Trump's very easily able to get away with these lies because a lot of the people hearing him and believing him have never been to these cities and never will go to them. Never, ever will they go to those cities.
Portland is burning to the ground. You have agitators, insurrectionists. All you have to do is look at the television, turn on your television, read your newspapers. It's burning to the ground. The governor, the mayor, the politicians are petrified for their lives.
Mr. President,
and you have a judge like that, that judge ought to be ashamed of himself.
It's crazy that he says the politicians in Chicago are afraid for their lives because the crime is so bad, but also those politicians are blocking him from invading with the National Guard the National Guard of Texas. Oh my god, what a shit angle. Is that AI? No, it's not AI, but you did actually remind me of a really funny thing that was posted by Trump on his Truth Social. Like, actually posted by Trump. Trump, give me a sec, I'm bringing it up. Okay. How many of you guys have heard of the conservative MAGA conspiracy about med beds? It is a conspiracy theory pushed by Trump, MAGA, and, the right that claim that a certain percentage of secret hospital beds have literal magical alien technology in them that reverses aging and heals you through magic sci-fi shit, I guess, and that only the most elite are allowed access to them. So on Trump's Truth Social the other day, he put out just something just absolutely amazing. Just amazing. We've got a French news broadcast about this.
Good to have you with us, Charlotte. You're focusing tonight on a video that's been shared by Donald Trump promoting an alleged cure-all medical bed. Tell us more.
Yes, so over the weekend, Trump posted or shared a seemingly AI-generated video of himself championing a fictional cure-all technology dubbed MedBeds. Now, the clip sought to bear resemblance to a Fox News segment on the show hosted by the president's daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, and the US president shared the video on his Truth Social platform. It has since been deleted from his account, but I did manage to get hold of it, so let's take a look.
Get ready. It's absurd. He posted this. Oh, is it muted?
America's first MedBed hospitals and a national MedBed card for every citizen.
every American will soon receive their own MedBed card. With it,
That's
you'll
AI.
have guaranteed access to our new hospitals led by the top doctors in the nation, equipped with the most advanced technology in the world.
Trump posted this.
So some pretty bold claims in that clip, which was circulated not only on Truth Social, but other platforms, including X. Sharon.
So you mentioned that the video is generated using artificial intelligence. How did you come to that conclusion exactly?
Yes, so there are a handful of indicators that the clip was indeed generated using AI. First of all, as we can see in this screenshot, the resolution in the video is pretty low. And as you might have picked up on, Donald Trump's intonation is not quite the same as it is in real life. It has this slightly robotic quality to it, as does that of Lara Trump. And the Fox News graphics are not quite right either. Now, since the show My View with Lara Trump actually does exist, we can compare the graphics of the two, and as you can see, there are some differences between the video shared by Trump and a screenshot from
MedBed hospitals, the new era in healthcare. It's like, could you imagine if the Democrats were even a fraction as shameless as this?
the actual segment, such as here and here, if we compare the graphics. Now, what's more is that Fox News confirmed to multiple outlets that this clip actually never aired on the network. Now, Trump's sharing of the video did prompt a mixed response online. Some did actually believe this was a real news segment, such as this person here, who said, I quote, Trump announces MedBeds to restore us to full health. Others, meanwhile, took a more...
I'm sobbing, crying emoji, tears of joy, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. I hit the precipice and just hours later, Trump announces MedBeds to restore us to full health. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Praise Jesus. Hands up, crying emoji, praying emoji, and broken heart mended emoji. Wow.
Cynical approach, and we're quick to pick up on the fact that it was in fact AI generated. This person, for example, said, I quote, Trump posted a fake AI
Holy shit, it's Erudite.
Fox News
I know that person.
promo for MedBeds, which are not real. Sharon.
So what more can you tell us then about the conspiracy theory itself and those who believe in it?
Well, in recent years, the MedBed conspiracy theory has gained particular traction in QAnon circles online, as CNN reports in this article. And for viewers who are unfamiliar, QAnon is a thoroughly debunked theory. It claims that Trump is spearheading a secret war against elite Satan-worshipping pedophiles in the government and in media. Now, some of these...
We've got the worst possible people holding the most possible power. Lock in, ladies and gentlemen. It's never been more important to do so. The stakes have literally never been higher. They continue to rise at an exponential rate. I know everybody always says this election is the most important of our lives, but has it ever been more clear that the upcoming election, if there even is one, will be the most important of our lives? Because if the Republicans get away with all of this, there will literally never be a functioning American democracy ever again. If the American people just let this slide and say, oh yeah, this is all cool. This is yeah, we're cool with this being the standard for American politics. America's basically over if that's the way that we end up going. So it has never been more important to change minds than now. I really want us to be focusing hard on the idea of changing minds. And fundamentally, I have found in my years of doing political talking and convincing and debating and etc., the best way to do this, truly, is to debunk and disprove the trustworthiness of their largest, most prominent pundits and figures, such as Trump and their grifter people they follow, and to debate them. If they are willing to debate you, if you can get them to debate, or hell, even just get them to refuse to debate publicly so they look like a pussy, but if you can get them to debate and win, it's effective. Debate for the audience. Debate to convince the audience, not your opponent. That's important. I do think that needs to be the left's focus in the coming years, because we've got to convince mass amounts of people if things are going to change. That's what has to happen. Anyway, folks, If you're enjoying this video, if you found it entertaining, educational, or enjoyable in any way, if you liked it and want to support it, then leave a like and a comment down below. It really does help a lot. I mean it. It really helps to support the channel for totally free. Subscribe and ring the bell icon if you haven't already, so YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload new videos in the future. Follow my social medias, link down below if you want to see more from me on other platforms, particularly my fan Discord, which is the main hub of my fan base and community. And of course, if you want to, support me directly, financially, help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio, then consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub to someone else on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, StreamElements, Patreon, or buy some custom Xander Hall merch through the Streamlabs link down below. Regardless of how you support me, thank you so much for watching, and as always, I hope you have a good one.